Hello and welcome to this episode of the PR episodes. I'm your host, Jim James. Thanks for joining us. Really excited because AI is something that we are all talking about. Some of us are afraid of it. Some of us are excited about it. Some of us are in between. But my guest today is going to give us something to be really excited about because her name is Alexandra Kubicka and she is the PR evangelist at Prowly. And she's got a sneak preview of what Prowly and the PR platform has in store for us when it comes to using AI for what we need it to do, which is to make our lives easier. Alexandra, welcome to the show, joining us from sunny Portugal.
Hello, Jim. Hello, everyone. It's good to see you again. Yes, I'm in sunny Portugal right now, and I'm very excited to show you some new AI features and just talk about AI in general because there's plenty of topics, controversial ones and some less controversial ones, but definitely we have new nice things to show you.
Yeah, so what we're going to do is Alexandra has prepared some videos to show us all how we can use AI from start to finish to prepare a press release, to choose the media, to be involved in that press release and to be involved in that media selection, and also then to send it. So she's going to share with us different videos, and then we're going to have a conversation in between each one so that you can follow. Each video is only a couple of minutes long, so don't worry, it's not going to be a long video presentation, but it is going to be exciting. It's going to show you new ways of working. Our whole conversation today is going to be about 20-25 minutes, and we welcome questions as always. If you've got any questions for any of the Prowly team, for Alexandra, especially today, just put them in the chat and they will no doubt get back to you quickly. Alexandra, the PR platform that's being built at Prowly has become more and more robust. I think it's over 1 million media contacts. It can do everything from writing press releases to media outreach to media monitoring. What have you got for us to see? Because I know you're the PR evangelist at Prowly, so you've been getting a sneak preview. I'm excited. What can you show us today?
So my idea is to guide you through the whole flow of just from the start, from looking for a good story to tell up to polishing the catchy subject line. So I have 5 steps here prepared, and maybe we should start with the first one with the
always a good place to start at the beginning. And so, having run my own PR firm for 25 years and started it, one of the big problems really is often thinking of that first idea. Client says, hey, we've got an announcement, make it into news for me. So show us then, Alexandra, how you can help with Prowly.
So every story can be served in many ways, and in Prowly you can start with just one key message that you have, add some keywords that you feel that might be relevant for this story, like to point the direction, where are you heading, and you will get 3 story angle ideas with a short explanation about the reason behind this angle, why it might be interesting for readers or for which type of readers. And if you feel like any one of those ideas might be interesting, just hit the button and wait a few seconds. So you will get the first draft, initial draft, based on your chosen story angle. Then, and as you see,
just interrupt you there. That's lightning. That is so quick. That would take a conventional PR assistant executive hours to research and to write. So that's amazing.
Yeah, and I feel like sometimes PR is like a solo struggle. like I was lucky enough to work in some big PR teams. We were sitting together in one room, sharing ideas, brainstorming together. But nowadays, especially with those remote jobs now, very often as a third person is just you and the laptop, right? Or you and Google search, right? So yeah, this is kind of like having this brainstorm buddy with
Yeah,
you.
and I
Like,
think that, as you say, often people now working remotely, or if they're an independent consultant, they may not even have a team. So it's great that the Prowly AI is helping to prompt, but also a key point here for me, Alexandra, is that I was given choices. It wasn't, this is the one that you have to work with. There were three choices and I could choose those. John, I've just seen your question. Will Prowly Media Database eventually include podcasts? I'm giving that a shout out and I'll wait for someone from Prowly to answer that for you. But recognizing, John, thank you for your question. So, Alexandra, first of all, then we've got this amazingly quick and also very well written press release. Where are we going to go next? We've got the angle.
so
Sorry, now let's look at the release.
yeah, that's as I said, it's like a very initial draft, because just keep in mind that we just put only one key message there and a few keywords to point the direction of the story, right? So we all know that you cannot write like a really comprehensive, interesting piece of content based on like one key message, right? So you will definitely need to just work on that and improve it. And again, you're not alone here, because we prepared 11 criteria of a good press release regarding like formatting, clarity, self-promotional perspective, and others that will be kind of guidance for you, and you will receive some suggestions like, oh, add some more sources to your press release, or you forgot about the quote. Here is an idea for the quote that you can use, like change one of the sentences into turn it into a quote. So it's a good checklist to have. And as you see,
Well, you said that's like having a senior account director on your shoulder. If you're maybe a middle manager or a writer or maybe an inexperienced person, having those 11 criteria when you're ready is really like having a senior counsel there to help you. So I think that's fantastic. That's really going to help, especially those people that are also coming up in the agency world and writing.
Yeah, exactly. That's like the usual flow, right? The junior people writing something, and then the senior person takes another like half an hour on an hour to work on this. And I'm not saying that it's gonna be like error-free and like perfect and ready to send to the client. Of course not. But at least the senior person doesn't have to check like some basics like formatting or quotes or sources. They can focus like on the story itself, or some like, I don't know, sensitive issues. It's definitely like junior and senior person will definitely feel kind
It
of
really
like,
is. That's going to be amazing, and for the client, they're going to receive a press release that is so much better written and so well rounded. We're going to save. Sometimes with clients, you have 4 or 5 times the press release will come back and forwards, which just costs people money actually and time. So this is going to reduce the back and forwards with the client as well.
I hope so. And I also wanted to show that the way of writing with AI, because here you have this inline editor, which means that you don't have to ask ChatGPT to regenerate your press release once again. You just point at some sentences or paragraphs that you feel like, oh, they don't sound like me, or we should make it longer, shorter. And it's a more like natural way of writing. It like follows the creative usual process of writing. You don't have to like copy and paste from one window to another window to get it. So you can work with just sentence or some bits, and you can also work with the whole press release. For example, you can change the whole tone of the press release and ask the AI to write it in a different tone. You have like few options to choose here, but this is also a very helpful feature. Getting a new language version is in just a few seconds. So
this is amazing, because if you're running, I have some friends in Portugal who run an agency. An English woman runs an agency there, and she manages PR across Europe for clients. And so the ability to toggle between languages and create one campaign with multiple language press releases simultaneously is absolutely amazing, amazingly powerful.
And it's also very nice that you get the same structure of your press release, because sometimes when you are like copying, pasting into some translation tools, you are missing it, right? It's a mess when you get it back.
If you're going to Google Translate, for example, and you've got the kind of Grammarly style overall score, so you can have an aspiration, or as a team, you can agree what is acceptable in terms of an overall quality threshold. So that's really, really powerful.
Yes, definitely makes life my life easier, and you also can switch between American or British English. That is also tricky sometimes, and now you can be sure that it's like a proper.
Yeah, I think it does the grammar, but not the humor, right? I think that'll be it. It won't match the American humor, but there we are. It's doing everything else. Great. So we've got some ideas for the story angle, Alexandra, and then we've taken the idea we like from the one of the three, and then we've taken that and started to fill out and get the press release, and we can use AI to write it, but we're still very much intimately involved, aren't we? You can still, at a sentence by sentence level, modify that press release, especially if clients have a specific keyword they want to include or a particular phrase they like to put in. So that's really important. You still got control. What do we have next?
So the next steps is about finding journalists who might be interested in this press release that you're currently writing. As you probably noticed, there were some journalist names popping up on the screen already. And those suggestions are based on the keywords from the press release. So you can use them instantly and add to the list, but the whole magic starts when you dive deeper into the keywords. Because the suggestions, the initial suggestions, like when I was preparing my press release, as you remember, I put there like super basic keywords like sustainability, ecology, just top of mind keywords, right? But my assistant is now telling me, hey, look, the journalists that might be interested in those, your two basic topics, they might be also interested in, and you have more detailed, more like narrow topics, like subtopics, can I call it like this?
Yeah.
Sustainable farming or fair trade. So yeah, that's the magic with the.
And I think magic is the right word, because anyone that's sharing today's webinar that's in a senior position will know that one of the hardest things for the junior or newer members of a team to do is to know which media to reach out to. So they really go kind of a hunting game of who might be interested. And as a senior consultant, you maybe know a domain particularly well in an industry, and you know which media might like that story. And that's always been one of the hardest parts for the younger members of the team to know, because they don't know who they don't know, literally, right? So for me as a practitioner, this is one of the killer apps within the Prowly PR platform that you're helping me to find, helping my team to find the media that might be interested, and showing the latest stories, which, as we'll see later, are so key when it comes to pitching. that you can relate to that journalist. So I think this is absolutely brilliant. And the related keywords as well will help you to expand if you need to get to a certain number of media, because you've got maybe a large announcement and you want to reach out to more media outside of maybe an industry niche. So I think that's absolutely fantastic.
I think that when we do the manual search in the database, like we have like 1 million contacts there, right? Then we actually see like the tip of the iceberg. And I think that we like focus on those most popular outlets, but I think that we might miss out plenty of media opportunities, like some journalists from less prominent outlets. But for example, they are experts in a certain niche, and without these keywords, like narrowing them, it would be very difficult to find those people.
Yeah. And there's a whole category of content out there, Alexandra, of course, as you say, which is where someone writes, for example, a special supplement. So you could have a newspaper like the FT, for example, may have a weekend supplement on gardening, but it's not considered to be a gardening publication, but it's still very influential for that Chelsea Flower Show that it does a supplement for once a year. So you'll be able to find journalists that write, maybe they've got a domain expertise, maybe motoring, for example, but they write for non-motoring media and outlets. So I think this is really going to transform your ability to go really deep into the media pool that might be interested in your stories. So that's wonderful.
So yeah, that's the step when we were preparing our media list. So we are almost ready to start writing a perfect email pitch, right?
We certainly are. We've got the list, we've got the content. Let's go reach them.
So again, blank page, blank screen situation when I was
what am I going to do?
Yeah, no idea. Maybe I should copy one of my previous emails and work on that. But there's no need to do this. You can just quickly start with your AI assistant that can like summarize your press release that you want to attach, or for example, guide you through writing an email that will end up with an interview with your CEO. So you have just few questions to answer here. Put some most important details like the experience of this candidate and the reason, like why now, why with this person. And this, it's really helpful just to structure like all the things you want to say. Again, choose the language version you prefer, tone of voice. I prefer straightforward. That's my personal favorite. It sounds very natural.
Okay.
And there you go.
So quick again. It's incredible how quick. And I think one of the things to really point out here, Alexandra, is that I've noticed working with Prowly is that it's such good quality grammar. You know, one of the challenges with ChatGPT and with Anthropic as well, they write, but they're not domain specific. And of course, you can work to prompt those large language models, but Prowly's text is already written as a professional media relations person would write. So the structuring of the conversation is already so relevant and appropriate to the application. It makes it such an easy platform to get good results with.
Yeah, the prompting, all the trial and error with like making your AI write as natural as possible is quite difficult. Even when I was prompting on my own and asking GPT to act as the experienced PR manager, what I got was this like sentences that they actually like they look and smell like from this wire services press releases, because I guess that's how they trained GPT, like how on just getting many newswire press releases that are out there, and they are full of buzzwords. They are so generic, and that's what you get when
exactly. You get another phenomenal piece of innovative news that's going to come and change your world. And of course, we spend as long editing those. And the other thing, of course, about ChatGPT and Anthropic and these other and Bard is that they don't really remember what you wrote before.
True.
So it's like they sort of have amnesia. Nearly had a dose of that myself there. They have amnesia. Whereas with the Prowly platform and the AI, we're consistently getting appropriate choices when it comes to words and the grammar and the outreach. So I think that's really, really good to point out. So we've got our...
Just one more thing I wanted to show you. Sorry.
Please do.
I need to go back. Okay. So this adding human touch to your email, right? Because you got this draft and you again can work sentence by sentence, changing the length or changing the tone, and just get ready to the final, getting ready to the final version. And while you're doing it, you also see on this part of the screen some suggestions that will give you this extra reassurance that your email won't end up in spam folder, that it's well written. So on each step you have this assistance. And this is the step I wanted to show you, to add like a proper human touch to your AI draft: personalization. And by personalization, I don't mean just adding hello, name, and token, because that's like so 2000. It's personalizing even like the opening sentence, or maybe some attachments that this person should get from you that others won't get. So it's like all emails that you're sending in this campaign in one place, and you can just quickly choose which one you feel like needs.
And did you, Alexandra, just to be clear, were you personalizing that email yourself, or were you asking the AI to help to personalize that email?
So for now, it's me and using the notes that I have in my CRM in the contact card of this person. I can quickly check like their recent articles or some notes that I left to keep in mind while I'm pitching them.
And that's great, because many of us have met journalists or have had phone calls. And so you'd often go through on a mail merge and say, as we spoke out at the exhibition, or following on from our call about the last article, or, PS, hope your weekend away trout fishing was successful. So the ability to humanize that is really important, because we don't want to lose that. The AI is helping us, not replacing us. That's a really key message from today, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It would be even weird to say, "Oh, AI, please help me to humanize my email."
Right? That would be an oxymoron. Okay. Yeah. So, Alexandra, what have we got? So we've got drafting the email, and then the bit that also takes time, if you're sitting there with 50, 60 maybe emails, is getting the subject line and preview line to be attractive, because those are like thumbnails on YouTube videos. It doesn't matter actually what the quality of the content is in the press release if the subject line is not getting the email to be open. So what can you do for us here?
Yeah, that's true. That's like a very crucial moment, and it's like the last moment in the whole flow when you're already like tired and almost burnt out. You need this one last creativity spark to come up with some ideas. And again, you can just ask the assistant. Your brainstorming buddy is here again, and just ask him for some ideas. And you can be sure that also it will be a proper length of the subject line, so the journalist will see the whole subject line in their inbox. And the extra hook, the preview line, many people do forget about it. And this is something that is also visible in our inboxes. So why shouldn't we also use second hook and just expand the story from the subject line, right?
Great. I see you've got Draft with AI. If you want to use it, it's there. If you don't want to use it, you don't have to, right? So this is a key point of today's webinar, is that the AI is there to support you, not replace you. It's not going to take over the workflow. You're in control of the workflow, but you can request its assistance as and when you need it, which I think is going to be very, very helpful for people.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like taking all our job. I think it's taking the most stressful parts. I like to think that way, that
Yeah.
for now the most stressful or time consuming, and this definitely this relief. So that's like the end of the flow. You can also do this test email. We all need this extra reassurance and see how it looks in my inbox before I'm sending it to the journalist, or just
very helpful.
Send and go to the emails analytics section when you can see how your pitch is performing, who is opening it, and when, what time, how much time do they spend reading it. That's like plenty of data, but I guess it's another story, right?
Well, it is, and I think that, hopefully you'll come back and do another webinar on some of the sort of analysis for what happens after you send it, because I know there's a lot of amazing tools for analyzing open rates, engagement rates, and so on. But that is, I think, another webinar. So, Alexandra, if you were to summarize then for us and just go back over those 5 stages, just run through that for us again to give us a summary of what we've seen.
Mm-hmm. So our idea for blending AI into Prowly platform was that it should just follow you in the background wherever you need. If you need some extra like creativity boost, or you need some reassurance that the email is well formatted, it's just you have full control on each step: writing, preparing journalist contacts, and sending an email. You are the storyteller, but with your assistant working in the background, you will feel just more, I think, creative and more also reassured that your email is error free, that your press release is also properly formatted. It really, it's definitely much more than just saying, oh, you can save up to 2 hours with using this AI. It's not only about like the efficiency. It's much more. It's actually now when you have tool that was created for PR people, you can really feel, oh, that's someone that understands me. It's not coming with some weird ideas that I'm not gonna use anyway, but this is like assistant that really knows my pains and my struggles.
And right. I think one of the other call out points here is that this is integrated. So the PR manager, the account executive, they don't have to be swapping in and out between maybe ChatGPT or Anthropic or Bard, and then going into maybe Google Translate to translate things and bringing them all back and reassembling. So we're getting everything in one place, which means it's going to be quicker, but it's also going to be more consistent. I did have a question for you. Let's say you create that press release in English and you like it, but then you want to create that in, let's say, German. What would be the workflow, Alexandra? Would you need to go back and restart? How would you take one press release all the way to completion in one language and then use that same press release as a, if you like, a template, clone that for another language? How would you do that?
Yeah, I would just use the option to generate a new language version, right? Just hit the button and get this the new language version and work on it in that language.
And does it save then? It would save the two versions, is my point, right? You save an English language version.
Yeah. You can just work on like initial language version of you work for a foreign client, and you get the press release in their language, right? So you can just use and then translate it into English and work on that in your language, keeping the structure and all the and the formatting of the original version of your client the same.
Okay, and then the other sort of question that hasn't come up yet, but I'm wondering if someone's going to ask it, is about approvals and working together as a team, because in most agencies there is a 4 eyes policy. You know, 2 people will work on a press release before it goes to the client. Do you just want to share with us a little bit about how that works? And this isn't strictly AI, but this is about oversight, because what you don't want necessarily is maybe an inexperienced person writing using the AI, believing that it's all fine, and sending that to a client without the account director or the agency owner having had a look at it. So could you just share with us, Alexandra, how the, if you like, the oversight, the team collaboration works?
It's quite simple. You just as a whole team, you have access to this draft. You can even like work on it together and suggest some, just check it, read it, and maybe you will also feel like some bits needs regenerating or making longer or shorter. You can also work on this draft. So all the team has access to this content.
Okay, that's very wonderful. And I also saw that you were able to add in your auto signature at the bottom. You did that quite quickly there, but for anyone that was watching, you'll see Alexandra was able to add at the bottom of the press email her signature, but there were a list of other people. Now, what that would mean is that you could preload Prowly with, for example, regional campaign managers. So you may have a person in one country creating a press release, but then it goes out in local languages with the local PR manager. This is often the case. You need a local point of contact. So what I also like now about this application, Alexandra, is that I can have one centrally written press release, which is normally how that works, to be honest, because head office only wants to send out one piece of information, maybe with a quote from the local country manager, for example. But then you're able to add in the local PR point of contact without everybody reversioning the press release. So although for you it's only a little button, actually from a workflow point of view, that's a big, big win that I hope other people might have seen as well. Might have got another couple of comments there. Brian's asking if there is a recording of this. Yes, Michaela will have a recording of that. And we've also got a place at the end on the final slide, which is a QRC for you to go and scan that if you like with your phone, or go to prowly.com, because there's a lot of work going on at the Prowly headquarters. Well, I say headquarters, they're in Poland, but Portugal, all over the world, of course, now. Alexandra, is there something that you think is coming down the line with AI that particularly excites you? I know we can't share everything today, but something that's coming down the line that would really pique people's interest in sticking around for our next webinar for Prowly.
I would say that we will have more interesting features that will improve the emails and make them more personalized and better targeted. So that's definitely like the near future in Prowly. But meanwhile, I encourage you to just sign up for a trial in Prowly. All the AI features are available, and you can just play around with story angles, play around with subject lines or your emails content, and see if you enjoy working with our assistant.
Yeah, so I think it's a really, really powerful tool. Are there any more questions from the webinar today that people might have? There was one about podcasts. I can answer that myself later on, but if anyone else got another question about the Prowly AI implementation that we've seen today. No, I think there was one question about podcasting. I know that it's been replied that podcasts at some stage will become part of the Prowly database. There is just an issue, though, that podcasts are not easy to search the content, even though Apple now is making transcripts part of it. Unless the transcript for the podcast is loaded onto YouTube, the players like Spotify and so on are not indexed in the same way as media in traditional, if you like, online news channels. So it's kind of like little walled gardens podcasts. It makes searching them a lot harder, actually, unless people have actively promoted in the show notes and the transcripts. So that is quite difficult. Alexandra, thank you so much for joining me and sharing.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Okay. Oh, there's a question here from Shannon saying, during the email portion, I saw something about surveys. Are you able to integrate surveys into the emails, either with AI or manually?
To integrate surveys? We have, do you mean the one of the email options that you can share survey results? Yes, you can generate draft of an email when you have some interesting survey or research to share. And you also have some questions to ask regarding this survey, some interesting points, data, and then you will get a nicely structured email pitch about your survey. So,
okay,
yeah,
I think Shannon's point, Alexandra, is there sort of an embeddable type form or quiz that's generated within Prowly? And I think that's not the case. It's more that if you've done a survey, you can put some contents from the survey into the AI and it'll write up some interesting pointers. Is that right, Shannon? Is that right? Your question, wasn't it? Whether she can find that, but I think that's the question. So, Alexandra, that's the case, isn't it? We're not able to embed currently surveys, but rather create pitches as a result of surveys that we might have done elsewhere.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Well, that sounds like a feature request to me. Sounds like a feature request.
Adding to the list.
Thank you. Well, thank you for joining me, Jim James, and Alexandra. Thank you for joining me from Portugal.
Thank you again for having me, and hope to see you soon on another webinar. We have plenty of new features coming this year, so see you soon.
I can see that you guys are on fire. And thank you to everyone for joining Alexandra and me here, Jim James. Actually, I'm in Wiltshire, not quite as glamorous as Portugal, but it's not raining. So there we are. We thank for what we've got. Thank you for joining us. Do go to prowly.com and register for a trial. You will enjoy it, and you'll also find it transformative. And thank you, everybody. There we go. Oh, sorry. One last question. How many languages are on the platform? Cataligo is asking, Alexander, how many languages?
6 languages, right? Because I'm also counting versions like American English, British English, and then for other languages. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. But I think at the moment we don't have any like Swahili, Yoruba. We don't have any African languages. So there we go. There's another feature request. Cataligo, thank you for asking that question. And Joanna, thank you for your note saying thank you. And Valev, thanks for joining us also from New York City. Thank you very much, everyone. That is our webinar for today. You will be able to find a repeat of this, and this will have a transcript. And you can reach out to Alexandra on LinkedIn as well, of course. I do encourage you to connect with her because she is an absolute mine of information. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Goodbye. See you soon.